Hi, folks. Joseph Kursky here with you. You know, over the years, I've read about 3,000 books, and here are my 10 favorites of all time. I probably will have another video about this, but it's biography, GIS, technology, geography, novels, prayers, and more. Here are 10 selected favorites. As I said, out of about 3,000 books that I've read. One of my favorites is actually one I read in 2024, and that is Don't Make Me Pull Over by Richard Rattay. That is a book about the classic American road trip from the 1970s in the family station wagon. If you love history, geography, maybe reliving some memories of you as a kid in your own family, road trips, Don't Make Me Pull Over is one of my favorites. Another of my 10 is going to be Let Them Eat Pancakes. Let Them Eat Pancakes. The author, Craig Carlson, was a film student at UCLA, I believe, and he was returning back to the USA after one of his fellowships to a university in France, and he was at a Denny's or someplace like that. And he said, "You know, the only thing I miss about being in the USA these big American breakfasts." And then he said, "That's it. I'm going to open an American diner in Paris." And of course, his friend said, "Are you crazy? You don't know anything about running a business, much less opening it up in another country and all the labor laws and all this stuff." But he did it. He followed his dream. So I like it for that reason. But I also love it because Craig has this wonderfully great sense of humor, and the things that happened to him while he was setting up and running his business over in Paris, and they're still amazingly, wonderfully successful. Breakfast in America over in Paris. He's got two of them now, I believe, over there. Let Them Eat Pancakes, Craig Carlson. He's got another one on the same theme with other stories. They're both wonderful. Let Them Eat Pancakes, Craig Carlson. The third of my 10 is going to be the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. This is a hard book to describe, but is absolutely fantastic. If you love words, history, the meaning of words, the author, who is John Koenig, Koenig, is all about he's a linguist, and he does some research on roots of words and makes up his own words that are incredibly descriptive of the feeling, for example, coming out of a movie theater into reality again. What's a word that should describe that? And so many others, thousands of other words. The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. It's not just a book, it's a whole website, TEDx talk, and much more. The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows, John Koenig. I highly recommend that. My fourth in my list of 10 is the Quincunx, Quincunx, Charles Palliser. Many of you know from my annual favorite books of the year videos on this channel that I love Charles Dickens. And Charles Palliser he out Dickens Dickens. In other words, he set out to write a big, rambling, wonderful Victorian tale of a boy seeking his fortune in the 1800s in London and beyond. And this book, I think it's as good as Charles Dickens. I really do, with all apologies to Charles Dickens. It is absolutely wonderful. One of my favorite books of all time, The Quincunx. And speaking of Charles Dickens, I can't have my list of 10 without having Charles Dickens in there. Hard Times, I don't know whether to go with Hard Times or Little Dorrit. They're both wonderful. I'm going to go with Hard Times right here. But Little Dorrit is great too. They're all great. You really need to spend some time with Charles Dickens. Do it outside of a literature class. When I took literature in the university as an undergraduate, I really didn't enjoy Dickens that well because I had to come up with all these, test questions and recount the motifs and the themes, but just read it for enjoyment and also for social commentary and history, geography, etc. Hard Times or Little Dorrit. I'm going to go with Hard Times for this list. My sixth favorite here, I'm going to list Alias Anna by Susan Hood. Susan Hood's Alias Anna. It's all about these two girls that basically survived World War II because of their music, but it's a true story and it's a wonderfully retold in musical styles. The book is actually told in different kinds of music, but with printing, with writing, but different styles of music. Oh, it's absolutely fantastic and very, very chilling and gripping. Alias Anna, Susan Hood. I've got a number 7 book here is also by Susan Hood, Lifeboat 5, about these two girls that escaped England to the USA in 1940, 1941, and survived by clinging together on a lifeboat after their ship was torpedoed. So that's a fascinating book, Lifeboat 5, Susan Hood. My 8th favorite here on this list, again, these could be in any order, really. These are my 10 of my favorites. Isaac Storm. I read this about 20 years ago. Eric Larson, one of his first books, but about the 1900 Galveston hurricane. So very chilling, but also about prediction, social commentary, natural hazards, early 20th century, September 1900, Isaac Storm. It's about Isaac Klein, who was the meteorologist at the time down there. I'm a geographer, so you probably knew this was going to be in this list, but Longitude by Dava Sobel. There's a whole list of books that I have in a separate story map on geography and GIS and technology books. The Map Maker's Wife, The Map That Changed the World, and others I have in that list. But I think Longitude is going to be right at the top there. I could expand those other books if you'd like, but I do have a story map on that if you would like to look it up. Longitude about the Harrison clock and how it solved the problem of figuring out where a ship was in terms of longitude. Latitude was a bit easier to find based on sextants and star positions and the sun position, but longitude was a perplexing problem that resulted in lots of loss of life and ships over the centuries until this longitude problem was solved by this lowly and underappreciated clockmaker from the north of England or perhaps Scotland. Longitude, Dava Sobel, Sobel. And finally, I'm rather fond of my own books, of course, being an author myself, but Interpreting Our World is probably the favorite book that I have written because it's in part for the general public. It's all about 100 discoveries that revolutionize geography and our way of thinking about the world. So, Interpreting Our World, that's now published by Bloomsbury Press. Joseph Kursky is the author. Interpreting Our World. So those are my 10. Don't Make Me Pull Over, Let Them Eat Pancakes, The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows, The Quincunx, Hard Times, Alias Anna, Lifeboat 5, Isaac Storm, Longitude, and Interpreting Our World. Thanks for being with me, and keep on reading.